If you want to supercharge your marketing, there is no better way today than to talk directly to your ideal customers as a podcast guest. Marketing at its heart is starting a conversation with somebody that could be an ideal customer. And being on a podcast, being interviewed as an expert, sets you up to talk to thousands or tens of thousands of people that can be ideal customers. The host gives you softball questions. They prop you up as an expert. They want to make you look good, so they look good to their audience. So you need to do work on your part to make sure that when somebody hears you and they come back to your website, that it adds trust to them. You see, it's not just about being on a podcast. It's the system to take people from being listeners to visitors to leads. Your website is an important factor in this. It will either build trust and move people along in the process, or it will kill the process right there. We've learned many things from e-commerce and conversion rates that apply to being a podcast guest. Here are 5 ways that you can ensure that your website helps you take people from visitors to leads. Number 1 is adding a picture of yourself, right? We all want to know what that person looks like. We hear somebody on the radio and we've got a mental picture of what they look like, but we're not quite sure. If you go to a website and there's no picture of the person, that probably is not going to help you with trust. Often people will look at sites that either have those canned stock images of, all the beautiful people smiling at the same time as fake. They're not authentic. People start to think, well, were these like just made overseas? And so you want to make sure that there is a professional image of yourself that's consistent with your other branding on there. So when people come to your site, if there's not a picture of you, that is something that you want to add right away. The other thing is About Us page. And this can be a lot of the same information that you have on your one-page pitch sheet. It tells a little bit about your background. It might give you different publications or awards that you've been given. Ultimately, the About Us page it tells the visitor what you can do for them. And if you don't have that, and it just looks like you're here just to make a transaction, not to build a relationship, that can really turn people off. If you look at the analytics, About Us page is often one of the most visited pages on any website. It's 2016. People expect us to be on social media, at least to have a presence there. So make sure you have social media icons that link back to your profiles. Now, it doesn't have to be every social media. If your customers aren't there, you shouldn't be there either. But for somebody that's doing a business to business or a professional service or a professional product, you're probably going to want something like a LinkedIn profile. So make sure that people can click there and go to LinkedIn to find out, who you're connected with, who you follow, and to validate that what they heard is consistent with what's out there. Now, the fourth one, it's a very minor thing, but you'd be amazed at how many people don't pass this. Scroll to the bottom of any page, any web page, and you're going to see a couple things down there. One of them is going to be a copyright date. And if it doesn't say the current year, that's a red flag that site hasn't been updated. God help you if it says 2012, 4 years old. That's really a warning sign. The other thing people look at for there is a physical address, or at least a P.O. box in a city and a state. People want to know who they're dealing with, where they are. When you don't have that on, the first reaction is this some site in Bangladesh or some country in Africa that's a scam? So make sure that you're upfront with people on that. They want to know who they're doing business with. Finally, the fifth step that really builds a lot of trust on your website when podcast listeners come back to it is customer testimonials. We all say great things about ourselves, but what do our customers say? And people know that we take our best customer testimonials, but they want to see somebody that looks like them, that has a company or a business or a life like them, somebody that they can relate to that has said good things about your product or service. If you can get a picture of that person along with their name and their company, someplace that the visitor could click to and realize, yes, this is a real person, you will see your conversion rates skyrocket. Ezra Firestone talked about this in e-commerce conversions, that having a face near and a testimonial near any call to action is key to getting people over the fear of clicking or the fear of buyer's remorse. So share with with people what your customers think, what they say. Ultimately, we work with people we know, like, and trust. We buy from people that we trust. If people aren't engaging with you on your website, it's often not because of your product, because they haven't even experienced the product. It could be gold. The thing is they don't trust you enough to put in their email address. They don't trust you enough to put in their credit card. Now, you've already talked to them for 30 to 45 minutes as a podcast guest. So back at the website, let's make sure we do everything we can to move that relationship along, to show them that you are the expert that can solve their problem. You are the one that can solve their problem, make their life better, and all they have to do is take this next step.